It's a surprise always that every year we have to turn back to our health, but it never stops. It continues. These 30 days are just to help us recalibrate, clean out the taste buds again, get things back in order, and have the personalized attention to be able to successfully re-jump on that bandwagon, at least for the 2 months before spring break, right? Right in March, everybody's going to loosen up again. Just if you're taking advantage of the month of January and February, it's a very good window to get those 10 pounds or to get that blood pressure or to get that nutritional regularity started again. I'm going to deliver to you now the information that will help make your cleanse week successful. And like I said at the end, because I do want to hear from you, I will allow everyone to talk. I would like to get each of your goals so that we can make sure we maximize your success this month. So if everyone can get out their notebooks, it will be helpful. I will go pretty quickly through some of the slides. The month itself is not just for weight or fat loss, as I know many of you wouldn't mind that, and we all need to shave off maybe the holiday few pounds that we've gained. But the lifestyle transformation and new habits are the point of recalibrating with the jumpstart. With that, the benefit that I think is most helpful is improved body composition, which most of you will know if you've worked with me before and understand how to read the information from the Ranfo scale. Okay, so if any of you don't have a smart scale yet, it will be where you will learn about the body composition. Other benefits of cleaning up the nutrition include energy, brain clarity, and nutrition tips that can help you be successful for the long term. So knowing how to get out of another 10 pounds another year. Okay. We'll get to practice those together during the program so that you have all your questions answered to be able to do this again by yourself, perhaps 3 months from now or 4 months from now. So I have loved this aspect of my work for many, many years because it actually helps people become more powerful in taking their health back. So it started as a side effect of me helping people with their fitness, that the nutrition to get fit actually got people healthy. So in bodybuilding, we do a lot of what I'm going to be teaching you today, which is body recomposition. And it's a lot of fun once you get the basics. I've combined that now with lifestyle medicine to help with actual disease reversal. So, in addition to improving body composition, what can happen for some people during the jumpstart is an improvement in things like blood pressure. So, if you're on medication, you want to check your blood pressures almost daily while you're on this program. And things like prediabetes, inflammation, and cholesterol also often improve during the jumpstart month and the month that follows the jumpstart as well. So I just realized that it's will now be 30 years that I've been a professional healthcare provider. Started as a registered nurse in 1996 and became a physician in 2000. So 26 years as a physician and 30 years as a healthcare professional. So I think I did this math right. For those of you who aren't my actual patients in the state of Florida, know that because this nutritional program can affect your medical numbers, it is very important for you, especially if you're on medication, to be monitoring, for example, your blood pressure, and to let your physician know that you're undergoing a nutritional program so they can maybe check your labs. This is considered education for you if you're out of the state of Florida and you're not under my care. So please get medical guidance. So this challenge will ask that you clarify your goals. And actually, when I finish and allow for us to have a conversation at the end, one thing I will ask you about is your goal. I would love for each of you to begin to think about a specific goal that you would like to accomplish during a month or 5 weeks together. This goal must be specific. It has to have a number. It can be related to fat. It can be related to improving eating habits. It can be related to a waist size, body composition. But the more detailed the goal, the more achievable. And if it's unrealistic, when you say it, I'll be able to help adjust the goal a little bit so you can actually see it happen. So that said, many of the goals related to the Jumpstart will be right on the Ranfo scale related to body composition. If you are using a Ranfo scale and you want me to help you track and interpret the data from the Ranfo scale, just reach out to me specifically by email, and I'll send you a live form that you can fill in your data for the next 8 weeks. The things that we track there include the basic weights, but the body compositions like visceral fat, body water, skeletal muscle, metabolic age, and your waist size will be most important. So for this week, put in your baseline, whatever that is. It's your starting point. And then the same day each week, so once a week, you will put in the next week's data. You can check your weight or your information before 7 days, but you don't have to input it more often than once a week. Just save it on your info just to get a peek midweek at how you're doing. But the reporting and the documentation has to be done once a week to help you adjust and really assess how you're doing. So we'll do introductions and goals at the end, and I'll keep going. So 30-day jumpstart. First, everyone should have this kit if you're planning to actively participate. If you don't have everything, maybe you don't have the protein, that's okay. But if you're planning to improve your body composition, you'll need the core, you will need a cleanse kit, you'll need an isotonics, which is the multivitamin. I did send everyone copies of the food list and the tracking sheet in case you've lost them or you didn't get a kit. So those things should be in your email. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty of what your first week will look like. And if you've done this before, this part will be your review. And your value in this time together will be in your questions along the way. Obviously, the accountability once we get this switched to a Zoom meeting instead of a webinar. And also seeing how others are handling certain aspects of this program. So if you are okay with being in a community forum, the conversations tend to be very meaningful and helpful. And of course, the recipes help too. So upon awaking, the first 3 things will be your morning routine. For everyone who's brand new to this, please take out that sheet, which is the tracking sheet. And the one that says days 1 to 7, make 7 copies so that you can actually grade yourself from 50% correct to 90% correct to 100% correct on how well you do executing every hour of the day when you're getting started. This is part of the programming that you're doing for your body. When habits are new, they have to be this meticulous. It's like training a puppy how to do a new behavior. You have to be gentle, but you have to be persistent and you have to be consistent and you have to come back and check. So for yourself, this tracking sheet will be to train you for the first week. It will get better. But The morning routine is 3 steps. The first step is to take the isotonics, which is going to be this box here with the multivitamin on an empty stomach and wait 20 minutes before you put anything else in the stomach. This is highly absorbable anti-inflammatory vitamin that can help reduce inflammation, and it's most effective if it doesn't get mixed with anything else. The rest of the morning routine you can take together if you want, but here are the rest of the steps. After the isotonics, number 2 is to take a scoop of the fiber, mix that in 8 ounces of water, and drink immediately. The third step, just for the cleanse week, you're going to be taking release capsules that are meant to empty out the gut. So everything that's been accumulating in the colon should be completely emptied by day 5 or day 6 of your cleanse, meaning those release capsules are a gentle way to actually empty and clean out the colon. So when you've cleansed, the stool is liquid. So you're eating solid, but you are having liquid stools, and that's a successful cleanse. If you might require multiple cleanses during the year, the stool might still be formed, but you might go 2, 3, or 4 times during the day. It just means that the cleanse is gentle, you haven't cleansed completely, and you may require another cleanse later this year. So isotonics vitamins, followed by fiber, and then the blister pack. This step of the warm lemon, half a lemon squeezed in 8 ounces of warm water, is an extremely important part of the morning routine because it primes the stomach for digestive fires. Part of the issue with people not being able to jumpstart their weight loss is their metabolism is down and their digestion is down. So one of the ways to combat this is to actually prime the digestive juices by having a high dose of vitamin C, which is what the lemon is, in warm water, which activates things like your enzymes, both at the level of the mouth and the salivary amylase, as well as the level of the stomach, the things that break down fats, proteins, and some carbohydrates. Okay. So these steps, if you do nothing else the rest of this year and you just have a morning routine, you will get ahead. Okay. This morning routine should last beyond the Jumpstart month, but it will look like 4 steps only the first week because you've got the release capsules in there. I think everyone who's been through a Jumpstart before with me has this very clear. The questions might come from people who are doing this for the first time, but hopefully these explanations were good. Is that going to jump into your 3 meals for the day for the cleanse week only now? Again, as questions come up, if you want to put them in the chat so you don't forget them, that's fine. I'll go over them quickly at the end. Or if you want to write them down, or maybe they'll be answered during the rest of the talk, that's fine too. So far, we've gone over your morning routine. Let's jump into your meals for the day because the cleanse week is simply a morning routine followed by 3 meals in the day in a particular way. It's all about the details. So if we look at the meals for the day, we see that you have a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. I just want to focus on those 3 for now. Everyone should have 3 meals in a day, unless you on a fasting schedule, which you wouldn't be doing this program if you're fasting, because that's a whole different strategy. Okay, the metabolism gets slower when you're fasting. Here, we're actually increasing the metabolism by increasing the meals. So the minimum number of meals is 3, but that's it. You don't have to have more than 3 if 3 is good enough for you. So 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast will look like a serving of fruit, which if you are doing a cleanse, and this is January, and you're really serious about it, your choice for fruit will be, I'll give you one, two, and three. Top choice would be something like a berry, blackberry, or if you like citrus, it would be half a grapefruit. And then third would be an apple. But if you can do blackberry or raspberry or blueberry or a mix of berries, 1 cup of those would be fine. On an empty stomach, the actual berries or the fruit break down very quickly and get absorbed very quickly so that they don't have to wait for your digestive system to break them down if you eat them, for example, with a protein at the same time. So that's why I like to have the fruit first, get it digested, so it doesn't have to wait its turn to be digested after protein, which in some people can take some time, and then you have the fruit waiting and fermenting in some guts. The rest of the breakfast includes a protein and 3 vegetables. 3 vegetables means a cup per serving. And so if there's 3 servings, it's 3 cups. This is often too much for most people to start with. So if you only can take 1 or 2 cups of vegetables, that's okay. And you want to choose vegetables from the list that came with the kit or that I included in the email that are green and fibrous. So these are going to be your cruciferous vegetables, things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, asparagus. Leafy greens don't make good options here because they don't have fiber, unfortunately. And some of you veterans who've worked with me and who've been at week 6 or 8 or 10 learned later about fiber and how surprisingly leafy greens don't have a lot of fiber. So your cups of vegetables here should be something fibrous, and I recommend things like beets, cauliflower, or other cruciferous vegetables. The protein, if you eat animal products, that can be any lean protein, 4 to 6 ounces. If you are a plant eater, this can be a veggie burger. It can be tofu. However you like to have the mix is fine. It can be a bowl. It can be a tofu scramble, as they call it. This could look like an egg bake if you use eggs as your protein. The delivery is up to you, but the content should be a fruit, a protein, and 2 or 3 vegetables. Okay. The timing of breakfast we can talk about in the coming weeks as we begin to have some results during your journey. But for now, just eat when you're hungry in the morning after the morning routine. All of you will skip mid-morning snacks because most people don't need a mid-morning snack. If you are eating this breakfast as prescribed, a protein and 2 vegetables and your fruit, you'll have at least 3 hours of satiety, of feeling fine, of feeling full, so that you can make it to lunch. Lunchtime is a little bit light for this week because there's no protein during your cleanse week. There's no protein because most people eat animal protein. And guess what's lining the gut? Animal protein. The gut, meaning the large intestines. The reason we have a cleanse before a colonoscopy is because our large intestines are lined by waste that tends to stay there sometimes for decades if someone's never had it cleaned. Some of that waste, if it is animal product residue, can become inflammatory and incite the development of polyps right in that colon lining. So for that reason, during the cleanse week, we're laying down a little bit of the animal protein. So there will be no protein at lunch just for that week. It's coming back next week. So by the end of the cleanse week, sometimes people feel a little light, a little hungry after lunch, before dinner. And that's a successful cleanse week. So what are we having instead? If there's no protein, well, you want to have a very good amount of fat. A serving of fat is half of an avocado, for example, or a teaspoon and a half of olive oil. These are the best two fat options for your cleanse week for most people, if you can tolerate either one or the other. Again, 3 servings of vegetables because you will be hungry if you only have 1 cup of vegetables. Make these things like beets, cauliflower, asparagus, Brussels sprouts. If you like broccoli, make it broccoli. Do not use any of the starchy vegetables like the butternut squash right now. That's really good. Or the yams that I see on the list. Those are actually roots. The yams are roots. Yucca, that's a root. So use green cruciferous vegetables that I mentioned, and you'll be fine during that week. Again, if there are questions about a special green that you like and you're wondering if it would be a good choice, you can write it in the comment. I'll quickly be able to clarify those types of questions. In addition to your fat and your vegetables during the cleanse week, you will simply, at lunch, you will simply make sure that you have the core about 40 minutes before your lunch and 40 minutes before dinner. Okay. I'm spending a lot of time on this slide because this is literally where the details will make or break your week. If you are able to have it clear for you what you will be eating and what you'll be doing. We talked about breakfast. We said to cross the mid-morning snack. We said, okay, supplement core is coming here, 2 of them, 40 minutes before lunch, which is just the fat and the vegetables. I'm going to come to the waters. I want you to scratch the waters anytime it's before the meal. Water's always after the meals, 20 minutes after. And if you can't drink 16 ounces of water in one sitting right now, begin with 8 ounces and add a couple of ounces each week if it's not too uncomfortable. You do have to wait about 20 minutes after your meals has made its way from the stomach pouch to the small intestines to drink the water. Otherwise, you'll be drinking and diluting the contents of the stomach. And guess what? The hydrochloric acid, your stomach acid, will have a harder time breaking down your foods before sending it to the small intestines. So there should be minimal water while you are eating. And when it's out of your stomach into the small intestines and you don't feel stuffed, that's the best time to have your water, because at that time, the small intestine is likely needing all the water it can get to flush all of that food particle across the entire football field long worth of small intestines that we have, so that those small food particles can be absorbed in the lining of the small intestine. That's when you want most of your water, 20 minutes after a meal. Okay. So we've clarified where to put the water, your supplements, and now we're crossing the afternoon snack as well. So no afternoon snack unless next week someone comes back and says, I was hungry at lunch, really hungry at lunch, and really hungry before dinner. At that point, we will be adding protein, and you'll have 1 more week to assess whether you still are hungry before we even add an afternoon snack. Most people do not need this unless their metabolism is already very, very effective and efficient. So cross out both snacks, drink water throughout the day whenever you need it, and before dinner, take your second set of core. Okay. Now, at dinner, this is the first full meal of the day, meaning that there is a protein, there's a fat, and there's vegetables. These have the 3 components of a complete nutrition, meaning a protein, a fat, and guess what? The vegetables are your carbohydrates. So the 3 macros are included in here, but we call this vegetables so you don't go get pasta. Vegetables get you your carbs. But if you choose cruciferous vegetables, as I mentioned, you also get fiber, which is the driver of the microbiome transformation. That is the point of our work here. This entire program is designed so that your microbiome becomes efficient at transforming your body composition. And the microbiome only runs on fiber. It only wants fiber. Okay, so we get that through the cruciferous vegetables and with the fiber that we started the morning routine with. This morning routine is designed to feed your microbiome immediately at step 2. Okay. Again, I like to get a sense of whether this is clear for most people, and hopefully this is not too complicated. And if I can move, we'll get to the next slide. This is an example breakfast. And berries with the protein and vegetables. Protein being here, eggs. Vegetables here are leafy greens that you see that I said no to. And that means if you decide to have an omelet like this, you would have a side or two of cruciferous vegetables in addition. So it's a lot of food. Most people who are doing the Jumpstart for the first time find that they are not able to eat all the food that is on the plan. And that's okay. Your microbiome will become capable as you continue to feed it. At lunch, we said just the fat and vegetables. This is an example of just vegetables with olive oil. Again, you choose cruciferous vegetables for the best results, and half an avocado is a great choice because of the amount of fiber in the avocado. At dinner, you can have your lean protein, you can have your vegetables, and by the way, corn, even though I see corn, there's a little bit of corn in this, it's a nice looking picture, probably better for a cheat week than your cleanse week. Cruciferous vegetables during this week. For someone who loves a meat substitute that will replace maybe their ground beef, I found this to be decent. And so Gardein makes several products, but of the ones that they do make, the ground Gardein is the only one that I would say is one that I would use. I've seen their chicken and other things, and it's reminiscent of the Impossible burgers. So you can do things like the garden burgers. You can do organic tofu, and you can do something like Gardein. Do not introduce beans at this time. I know beans are a source of protein for plant eaters. So the slide here is to make sure that we are making our food taste good. While we don't recommend using a lot of salt, you need to have electrolytes in your food. So a salt substitute like Mrs. Dash, which has, instead of sodium chloride, potassium chloride, is a great option for someone who's doing the Jumpstart and wanting to reduce blood pressure right away. So Mrs. Dash will improve blood pressure in the first week during a cleanse week. If you have inflammation, things like turmeric and black pepper would be great to use. Any of the green, leafy, dried seasonings are great. And if you need to make your meats savory, I recommend JU's products. Bodybuilders love this. They're sugar-free. They taste great, and they make great marinades. Okay, for your chicken, for your fish, for your tofu. Make sure the food tastes good because you will have to enjoy it for 7 days. You need one breakfast for the whole 7 days, one lunch for the whole 7 days, and one dinner for the whole 7 days. If you need to substitute the protein, maybe have chicken 3 days and fish 4 days, that's fine. You can do that. And if you also want to change the broccoli to Brussels sprouts, you can do that. But maintain consistency in the programming because the first few weeks are to get tapped into the fat burning zone. I make seasonings and set it aside because meal planning will become tedious and preparing the proteins with pre-made seasonings can be really time savers. So a lot of garlic, maybe onions, organic peppers, you food process them and maybe add your Mrs. Dash and a little bit of oil and you're ready to go. Make batches, and once the food is cooked, be sure to use glass containers for lunches and for dinners, and maybe have a big tray of your breakfast that you take out of every day. Notice there are no grains. There's no oatmeal. This week is really about cleaning with foods that are designed to clean the body, which are plants. So that's why the vegetables and then the protein, which is going to support you, and the fat, which is going to make sure your brain's functioning and that you stay full for at least 3 hours. Get spouses and kids to meal prep with you. This is my little Bella. She's now about to turn 14 this month. She's been on this road a long time. So get your family involved and you will see it makes things easier and you become the influencer instead of them influencing you the wrong way. I want to help you finish the nutritional day now. So we're going to look at the bottom half of the sheet. We made breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We talked about 0 snacks, and we said core before lunch, core before dinner. Okay. I know this is a lot for the brand newcomers, but just hang in there. And we have a whole week for you to ask questions before we meet again. For those of you who are veterans, use this as a refresher. Get your notebook started and lock it in once your meal prep is done. Once dinner is finished, just for the first week, the cleanse week, there'll be no evening snacks, but you will be taking one of the detox packets that is in your cleanse kit that includes 4 tablets, it's 4 capsules actually in the clear packet. This is to help support your liver in detoxing you, and you'll take that before bed with 8 ounces of water. If taking 8 ounces of water before bed will make you stay up at night to urinate, then just take this maybe an hour after dinner, okay? So that you're not having to drink water right before bed. And that will conclude your nutritional day. Ideally, you want to be done with dinner by 7. So in this time where we're meeting at 7, basically the sun's down, and after a meeting, we should just really be getting ready for bed. So dinner ideally should happen before 7 p.m. And again, after each meal, your water goes in 20 minutes later. Okay. In addition to the rainfall log that I showed earlier, if you do suffer from high blood pressure, please check your blood pressure daily this first week. This is very important because the blood pressure can drop during the cleanse week. and it's important to catch it, especially if you're on medication. That said, you can follow the blood pressure as a measurement on the rainfall log once a week, once it's stabilized after the cleanse week. If you do have a waist that you would like to shrink, simply measure your waist at the belly button in inches and document that. Follow it once a week. You may want to take a picture with a pair of pants or a dress or an outfit that you'd like to fit in by the end of your jumpstart. The waist size will shrink. Your body will change its shape during this journey. So we have completed the preparation for phase 1, which is the detox phase. Most people who do this, women in particular, can lose up to 7 pounds during the cleanse week. Men, on the other hand, can lose up to double that amount just in the cleanse week. It depends on how effective the cleanse is, whether they have that much weight to lose, how much muscle they have on their body, and so on. Either way, a lot of you will come back next week having lost 5, 6, 7 or more pounds minimum. So I look forward to hearing about how this went. I know not everyone will start tonight. Some of you may be still getting your kit. That's okay. We'll be catching up with everyone during the course of the month. So every day we begin with nutrition to our cells with the daily essentials, followed by nutrition to a microbiome with the fiber. And the third step, meaning for our digestion, warm water that has half a lemon squeezed in it. Cleanse week disclaimer, you will have the release capsules right in between those two steps. You can take those capsules with the lemon water or you can take it with the fiber. It's okay. If right now drinking 8 to 16 ounces of water after every meal is all you can do, that's fine. If you can drink water between meals, that's okay if you're thirsty. But remember, your morning routine will get you a 24-ounce water head start. And so if you're drinking another 24 during the day, you'll get about 48 ounces. You really want to start improving towards 60 or 100 ounces a day, depending on your weight. So a 200-pound person may be getting some benefits if they're at least getting 70 ounces of water. But ideally, 100 ounces is what they should be getting. But this is water intake that should be natural, not forced. One thing that I will focus on right now is the most important element to you being successful is meal prep. I'm sorry, this is probably not a very sexy thing, but it's very basic, but nobody has time to do it. Life is too busy. If you have your meals ready to go, you will be successful. If you can't or you don't or your weekends, it doesn't happen, you will have problems. If you are experienced with nutritional lifestyle changes with me, you already know this. The only times things get out of whack or off the bandwagon is when you're not meal prepping, during holidays or when you're in maintenance, for example. Okay. For this cleanse week, please begin back with your meal prep. And for this month as well, if you want to see something significant change at the end of the month. Your protein or at breakfast and dinner, because remember we skipped it at lunch. And you're having fat at lunch and dinner only. Remember, there's no fat at breakfast. For those of you who are experimental and want to have exotic recipes, I did also include detox recipes in the email that you can browse, but please stick to what I mentioned, cruciferous vegetables and the protein options that I suggested. Do not go getting sprouts and beans. Not sprouts. Sprouts are okay, but beans won't be a good idea for you right now. This strategy is to keep your blood sugar steady throughout the month so that your body knows it is not having to store fat. Anytime you spike sugar, your body will store fat. We don't want to spike sugar. We're maintaining a low glycemic impact way of eating. We stabilize the sugar so that weight loss can happen easily. Weight loss, not muscle loss. We want to preserve muscle. Okay. And fat loss is what I mean specifically. If your visceral fat is double digits, you will want to bring that down to single digits. And I mentioned the fiber is important, and you are programmed to have fiber at the beginning of your day, so don't worry there. So now we can say, don't start the day until you have it finished. We have just spent 45 minutes almost discussing how to win a week, the nutritional day in detail from start to finish. We invest this time now because hearing it and then executing it will be 90% of it finished. Planning is the bulk of the work in health. Okay. Executing is the easiest part of the work in health. If you plan it and you automate it, the execution is easy. So what's the hardest part about planning it so it can happen? The meal prep. So one step in the reaction, if we're talking about getting a piece of toasted bread, at the end of that, enjoying the toasted bread, we have to have gotten the bread and toasted it and buttered it. The buttering part is easy, but we can't rush the toasting part. And we can't have toasted bread without the toast. So this step right here is what we call the rate limiting step to having toasted bread. It means nothing can happen without this step. We have to wait for it, and it determines the result. Likewise, in our Jumpstart month, meal prep is that toaster. Meal prep is our rate limiting step. It takes time, but without it, we can't get any results. So I recommend, to help with the meal prep, to break it up into a few days. Maybe Friday, get the groceries. Saturday, chop up all the vegetables and wash them. And Sunday, cook them, put them together, and pack them in the fridge for the week. In general, that's a good strategy because the week is busy. Spread it out over 3 days or get some help with cutting up vegetables. It will be required. I've had chefs who want to get home every evening because they enjoy cooking, prepare their meals from scratch. It hasn't worked. You have to have the meals pre-done or mostly pre-done so that you can just grab and go, because one thing we do not want during this month at any time is hunger. Hunger will make you fail. Okay. So meal prepping is our rate limiting step, and it is the only thing we need to focus our attention and energy on. So a few tips, and I'll open it for questions. If you are having your last meal at 7 and we want an 8-hour window, it may look like you can start eating at 11. If you're not used to eating that late, eat when you're hungry and then finish before 7. Eventually, you will know how long your eating window is, and then we'll be able to shrink it, both at the top at the beginning and in the evening. You want to have at least 3 hours between meals so that complete digestion happens. Okay? If you have a longer eating day, you might have 4 hours between each meal. Like if you're eating at 8, at 12, and then again at 4 p.m., that's a longer eating day. But it's okay, as long as you're having 3 meals. But if you're starting at 8 and you're finishing at 4 and you're in bed at 10, you may be hungry. So a schedule like that may require an afternoon snack. So we'll have to see if some of you are running into that problem. With the morning routine, because of the amount of fluid that you have with the isotonics vitamins, followed by the fluid with the second step, which is the fiber, and the fluid with the lemon water, most people don't feel hungry after drinking all of that with the morning routine. So the meal time gets pushed down a little bit, which is helpful. So if they're eating at 8, 9, or 10, it gets pushed down a little bit. They may be having dinner at 5 or 6 instead of 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Skip all the snacks for this week. You don't have to force feed with the vegetables. And if you're 80% full, don't stuff. For those of you who actually have issues with cramps, it's probably because you're low on electrolytes. The cleanse week, because it will cause loose stools in some of you, if you have a propensity or a tendency towards cramps, please get electrolytes. And I've talked to many of you about the Noom brand, N-U-U-M or Noom. That seems to be decent, doesn't have a load of salt in it. And that will be important to take anytime your stools are beginning to get loose, to replace at least your potassium and your calcium and a little bit of magnesium as the stool is wasting it. Okay, loose stools will make you lose electrolytes, and loss of electrolytes causes muscle cramps. And we don't want that for you during the cleanse week, especially if you have a sensitive body. When the stools are loose, go ahead and stop the 2 release capsules and take one or maybe skip a day. You don't have to have loose stools for multiple days. Okay. Once it goes to loose, you're fine. You're cleansed. And the exercise is not needed this week. During a cleanse, your body's actually stressing and detoxing and working a lot. And therefore, we don't need to add additional strain on it by working out. There'll be plenty of time for that later. If you want to continue light stretching, walking, mild exercise, it's okay, but I would recommend doing something like the sauna, stretching, deep breathing, as opposed to biking and brisk walking, things like that. Tone it down a bit. So I really look forward to hearing from you now. Your life is your garden, your thoughts are the seeds, and if our life isn't awesome, we've been watering the weeds. I put this there so that we remember in our health journal, please only focus on the things that are working for you. It's the reason you are documenting is to remember what worked for you. Let's say you've done this jumpstart before years ago. If you go back and look at those notes, you'll probably get a refresher on things that work really well for you that first or second or third time. That's why you want to take notes, because each year, as your consciousness develops, your knowledge base develops, and your knowledge of your own body develops, you will have new layers of discoveries that will be helpful for you for the years to come. So tend to the garden. Keep only what works. Anything else, just ignore it, because those bad things, they love attention and they get all the attention already. So we don't need to repeat them at all. We're going to actually ignore them and let them atrophy during this month. You'll only practice, write down, underline, and repeat the things that work. It's a new muscle that we will be working on. So this is the plan. You've got the strategies, you've got the tools. Let me stop and get some questions and take a look at this, the chat, and then hopefully we can be in conversation